She's ready to.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Luz Bay. I'm state representative representing Strafford County District 21, which is Dover wards 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. I am the chair of this the Criminal Justice Subcommittee. I have scheduled this meeting for Wednesday, January 28th, 2026 at 1 p.m. in the Justice and Administration Building Commissioners Conference Room 259, County Farm Road, Suite 204, Dover, New Hampshire. This meeting is to review the following portions of the Strafford County Commissioners 2026 proposed budget: County Attorney's Office, Child Advocacy Center, Sheriff's Office, Dispatch Center, Medical Examiner, Department of Corrections, HOC Laundry, Jail Industries, Community Correction Program, Drug Court and Transitional Housing Program, and Supervised Visitation Center. This meeting takes place at Cochico within Indakina, now called Dover, New Hampshire, which is the unceded traditional ancestral homeland of the Abenaki, Pennacook, and Wabanaki peoples, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land, waterways, living beings, and the Alnuba, the people who have stewarded Indakina for many millennia. Now we are going to do the roll call.
Representative Bay.
Present.
Representative Miller is going to sub for Representative Burton. So Representative Miller.
Present on behalf of Representative Burton.
Representative Robley Hall is not here. I've not heard from him. Representative Harrington.
I am here as Representative Harrington.
Representative Malone is not here. I've not heard from her. Representative Schmidt.
Here.
I am subbing for Representative Selig, Representative Howland here, and Representative Smith is in committee and could not come in as excused. So 5 are present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Representative. This will be the order of the presentations. First, Department of Corrections, HOC Laundry and Jail Industries. Second, County Attorney's Office, Child Advocacy Center, and Medical Examiner. Third, Sheriff's Office and Dispatch Center. Fourth, Community Corrections Program, Drug Court, and Transitional Housing Program. With all of this, there are presentations, and for each presenter, we would like to request that in addition to the description of your budget, we request that you address the deltas, especially those that are over $10,000. Either way, if it's higher this year or lower this year, if it's at least $10,000, please address the delta so that we don't have to ask you later on. But before the presentations, if the superintendent would allow me first, because I know that you have a time crunch. We have guests, and if you can say your name and if you're representing and if you have a specific interest in this meeting, please give us an introduction to yourself of 30 seconds to 1 minute. Sir.
I'm Will Britton. I am a director of community supervision at Community Corrections.
I'm Blair Roulette, Director of Community Supervision, as well as the Director of the Mental Health Support Program. I'm Phoenix Mayette. I'm a Rollinsford resident, and I'm here to talk about the Sheriff's Department budget.
I'm Adam Gopia from Dover, just here to listen and be with some of my friends.
My name is Chris Brackett. I'm the superintendent, and I'll be speaking to you all shortly.
William Shostak, I'm a Rollinsford resident, and I'm also interested in the Department of Corrections budget and the Sheriff's budget.
Nancy Normile from Dover, and I too am interested in the Corrections and Sheriff's Department budget.
Carolyn Gillette from Madbury, Strafford County resident. I'm here to also talk about the sheriff's budget.
Rachel Roulard, I'm a Dover resident and teacher. I am here just on behalf of the budget, also for Department of Corrections and Sheriff's Office.
Hi, I'm Carol Lee. I'm the director for drug court.
I'm Taylor Blanchard, Director of Transitional Housing.
Okay, before we start, I'd like,
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say I'm Ray Bauer, I'm the county administrator.
I want to check the rules with, Representative, Howland is also the chairman of the delegation. What the rules are with regard to, public comments from, the public during the subcommittee meetings.
So the subcommittee meetings are actually, and I'm not meaning to like stifle free speech, but the subcommittee meetings are generally a business meeting. We have already had a public hearing on the budget, so the normal procedure would be after, particularly if you have questions that you've heard as we do our presentation, you can send either the delegation an email and or the commissioners an email, and we'll get what your feedback is for it. Or if we're walking out, you're welcome to talk to any of us.
Thank you. So, without further ado, Superintendent.
Excuse me for saying. Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Chris Brackett. I'm the superintendent of the Strafford County Department of Corrections. Been the superintendent there for almost 8 years, coming up in March. Forgive me for my voice. I'll try to be as loud as I can. I'm currently battling something. However, everybody rest assured, I've tested and it's not flu A, it's not flu B, it's not COVID.
It's not
so
contagious.
It is not contagious. I have 3 budgets that I'd like to talk to you about. The first being the Department of Corrections. That seems to be the one that is obviously the most expensive. In addition to that, I'd like to talk about the jail industries and our HOC laundry. The first thing that you'll notice as you take a look at my Department of Corrections budget is there's almost an $800,000 drop in expenditures. That's resulting out of working with the Board of County Commissioners and the county administrator, recognizing the significant financial challenges that the county is looking at as we go into 2026. What I did with my department heads is I went through each one of the different line items and I tried to see if there was a way in which I might be able to streamline our process without minimizing the services that we provide to those that are incarcerated with us and the members of the public in which we serve. If you go through my explanation, you will see that by and large, there's a bunch of parentheses around numbers. Those parentheses indicate there's a significant drop in expenditures. Most notably, and I'm going to look directly at you, Representative Harrington.
I expected that.
A $234,000 drop in overtime. The reason why that looks that way is because we have been talking about a need for additional corrections officers, and we haven't been able to achieve that. Last year, we made significant improvements in our competition and compensation with other facilities in the area and across the state. And we are now competitive with those departments of correction and the state prison so that we can attract qualified candidates. I'm happy to report to you that I do have a full contingent of officers at this time. My overtime that I have budgeted largely has to do with the fact that a lot of those officers are new, and those officers are 5 weeks long. That happens during the week, and that requires overtime coverage. I do have individuals who are serving on military reserves, so they have commitments that they have to meet. And in addition to that, I also have planned vacations for earned time that people have. That's most notably one of the significant decreases that you'll see. In addition to that, one of the increases that you may notice is in food. Everybody has, I'm sure, has noticed that there's been an increase in cost in food, and even in the bulk purchases that we seen a significant increase in the cost of food. That, based off of a calculation of what the population is going to be, has resulted in that increase. You'll see a significant decrease in medical expense. The medical expense decrease that you see is largely related to a request that we made in the middle of the year last year, because we had an outlier, if you will. We had an individual that was incarcerated that required extensive medical care beyond our abilities at the Strafford County Department of Corrections. They spent time in the hospital, and even though we saved a tremendous amount of money because of a insurance program that one of my staff was very fortunate to find, we still had to request for additional money. One of the things that we said during those meetings is that you would be able to see that there's going to be a decrease in the cost in the budget next year. That's what you see reflected there. I'm happy to talk about any specific questions that you may have related to this budget that has been prepared. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you may have.
I just have one, which is like on the correctional staff line item. In fiscal 2025, it was 6,103,000, and in 2026, it dropped to 5,975,000. How, so we're getting a full contingent, how do we squeeze that in?
We cut positions.
Okay,
They were positions that were not filled at the time. So I haven't cut staff members. They haven't lost their job. They're just positions that have been cut.
they just were not filled.
And Chris and I and the commissioners work together to utilize our supervisors in a different way. Primarily, the second supervisor becomes a float. And instead of having two floats that are correctional officers, we have one float that's a correctional officer and one float that is the lower level supervisor on the shift is usually how it works, unless the higher supervisor, decides to take the float shift.
Yeah.
Which they might do. They might just decide to have that difference.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, good job, Chris. Thank you. I know this is something we've been pursuing for quite some time. I thought we were putting ourselves in a very risky position with the massive amounts of overtime we were asking these people to work.
Yeah.
So I'm gathering now what called full staffing is now a lower level, but you've met the full staffing level.
That's correct.
Okay, and that's allowed you to schedule less overtime.
That's correct.
All right, good job. Thank you.
Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, is there a downside to this new arrangement?
A downside.
No, not from safety or security, no.
We have, we met, we're following a model that we've utilized in the past, staffing model that we've utilized in the past. We found it to be perfectly fine for the level of security that we're required to provide over at the jail. It would be remiss if I didn't say to you that I'd love to have more staff. I would love to have additional staff there that would be available to respond, especially in times of an emergency. But we don't staff for emergencies. And so what we've tried to do is we've tried to take a look at our operational process to see how we might be able to get the biggest bang for our buck. And that's what we're trying to do.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. A couple of questions. Can I preemptively ask for the follow-ups now? Different rules in the regular committees. Quick follow-up on the medical, and I remember the debates a couple of months ago, weeks ago, whenever, that midnight meeting when we approved the revised budget. What was the original? Do we know what the original budget was?
300,000 for the jail. 500,000 for the sheriff's department. And the 300,000 for the jail was the medical that
Was the medical
was the
overage.
medical that was remaining. So that's what's in front of you right now.
Yeah, okay, so the 4.52 that we're gonna have this year, or what that was the 2025, when we originally approved it, it was 4.22 and we added 300 to it. So even on top of everything, we are actually still going down a little bit,
Yes, that's right.
excluding the outlier.
That's correct, sir.
Cool. I hope it works. I hope it works. My other question, is, probably going to be harder to answer, but, with respect to, and I note in the notes, this is also just expenses, not revenue, and we've talked about the revenue
That's,
stuff.
yeah, revenue
little.
is a separate committee.
But a big portion of revenue, for the county and for especially related to Department of Corrections is the U.S. Marshal Service and ICE, arrangements that we currently have in those
That's correct.
partnerships. And vis-a-vis our expenses, and especially around staffing and operating of the facility, do we have any sense of what the impact for staff or for operating expenses of the facility would be if either or both of those partnerships were terminated?
Partially based on your email to me yesterday, to prepare me for the question. No, and I'm glad because it's the only way to have a meaningful answer.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head. The superintendent and I worked on it yesterday afternoon, so I'm just gonna leave it up to him.
So, this is a multi-layered answer that I need to provide.
I know it's not gonna be easy, but we gotta do it.
First of all, our classification level, we have two different classification levels.
Mhm.
There's a classification level of high, medium, and low. And then we also have behavior classification. So when we receive individuals that come into our facilities from ICE, for example, they're classified to us at a specific level. There are certain classifications that I can't house with anybody else.
Okay.
Other classifications I can't. Low classification I can't house with anybody else other than other low classified individuals. And mediums and highs I can house with everybody. U.S. Marshal prisoners I can house with everybody as long as they're not around a low classification ICE detainee. In county inmates, we have the ability to do the same thing basically that we do with U.S. Marshal inmates. The reason why I say that is because we put everybody everywhere. I don't keep one group of individuals here. I don't keep one group of individuals here. And the reason why we do that is twofold. It gives us a lot more options for housing, A, and B, it allows for us to accommodate requests that are made from our federal partners about housing specific individuals. As it relates to U.S. Marshal prisoners, there might be 5 co-defendants that are involved in a federal case, and we have the ability to put them in different places. Now, as far as staffing goes, if I were to close down 2 housing units based off of a classification of an individual. If that's on housing pod 1, where I have 7 housing units, I still have to staff that the same way.
Okay.
So that's 3 officers that are located on housing pod 1, 24 hours a day. If I were to close down unit G, for example, I would be able to minimize 21 shifts, but I don't have the space to put those other individuals somewhere else. And those individuals could be ICE. They could be U.S. Marshal. They could be county inmates. They could be requests of holding individuals that have conflicts in other counties. So the housing puzzle that we have over at Strafford County is exceptionally complex because I have to take into consideration classification. I have to take into consideration who they can be with and who they can't be with, what their charges are inside a correctional facility. And this is not germane to Strafford County. Inside a correctional facility, anybody with a crime against a child or sexually related crime, I have to keep them separated. If you were to go down the hallway across the street and you were to ask anybody randomly if they committed a crime, they'd say, no, I didn't do it. If you were to ask them if their roommate did it, they'd say, no, they didn't do it either. If you were to ask those same 2 individuals about somebody who was housed in an area where we keep those people separated, hey, did they commit a crime? They would say to you something along the lines of, give me 5 minutes in my cell, get you all the justice you need, and we'll save a ton of money. Because everybody has been a child, or everybody has had a mother or a sister, or they know about the trauma that comes out of victimization. So when you ask about how we might be able to, like, if we were to not house people there, I don't have another location, and I don't have a tremendous amount of cost savings that I would save Because what we have done is we have utilized the open space of beds that we have because our robust community correction system, which you'll hear about later. And we've been able to utilize the space, housing it with our federal partners. Now, I think it would be remiss if I didn't at least articulate, in July of 2026, I'll be here for 23 years. On my second day, while I was learning how to do my job, I was threatened by an ICE detainee. So we've been doing this for quite some time now. I understand the passion behind it. I feel some of that passion behind this process, and I think it's important for you to know that. But if they're not incarcerated with me, they're gonna be incarcerated somewhere else. I don't believe that if I were to say, hey, no, we're not taking them, first of all, I wouldn't have the authority to do that. I don't think that they would be released. I think that they would go somewhere else. And inside my facility, I will do whatever I can to ensure that they have access to their religious beliefs, religious and required diets. We have advocacy groups that come in. We do whatever we can to help the individuals who are in our custody. And I don't care who puts them there. If there's an advocacy group that wants to help out people who are incarcerated, then I'm going to do what I can to help them come in. Because in the almost 23 years that I've been there, I have seen the impact that it has for someone to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to listen to you. And I'll see what I can to help you. I've been able to see that. When I first started, I said to myself, you've made the decisions, you put yourself here. And you want to know something? There's a little bit of an ounce of truth to that, but there's a much larger part of that I didn't see, that I've had my eyes open to, which shows that people are put in situations and they just try to survive. And what we're trying to do over there is we're trying to provide an environment that allows for them to not have to come back to our facility.
Just one comment, if I may, and Ray, you obviously are aware of this as well. When this jail was designed, it was designed with the idea that we'd be taking federal prisoners in, and that was part of the made the jail the way it was designed 20-something years ago.
We actually began taking federal prisoners in years before. So Chris has been here 23, I've been here almost 40. And I actually started taking federal prisoners in about 37, 38 years ago. Then we kind of got filled up but when we designed this jail, it was with the hope that community corrections, which you're going to hear about later, would turn out as well. And we would have, and if it did, we would use it for the purpose of boarding inmates for other jurisdictions. Yeah, the thing that I know Chris and I talked about is that at least 2/3 of our all of our marshals inmates are either convicted criminals or are the judges decided they can't be safely released on bail. Every one of them. Of our ICE inmates, and I'm rounding these numbers off because they change literally by the day. 2/3 of our ICE inmates are criminals or accused criminals, or in fact, in cases, most of our ICE inmates, they're actually already been convicted, have already served their time, and as part of their plea bargain, get a disposition that includes deportation. And in fact, and this will surprise the heck out of me, I'll be honest with you, that they can actually save time off their sentence by agreeing to be deported partway through the sentencing process. So, I think we need to understand that we've been doing this for 35 years, and for all different kinds of partners.
Before I recognize you,
Yeah.
Representative Miller, so are you saying that all of the ICE prisoners that's held in our jail, in the Strafford County Jail, have gone through a due process?
Or are about to. We do video arraignments there.
I'm gonna ask to dispute that since you've told me that we have 50 that we don't know what their status is yesterday.
Not knowing what their criminal status is, doesn't mean that they don't have the opportunity to appear in front of the federal judge and have the federal judge say, unless they voluntarily deport.
I disagree with your assessment of the
Okay.
situation. I don't want to fight that out here, but I disagree with your assessment. We went through this last April. Of how, if you say when we were told last year during this budget process that we only take people that have proper debt paperwork that says they have a criminal conviction or a criminal record,
That's what we were at the time.
except that what we started accepting people who don't, and we have 40, I think is the number you gave me yesterday, 40 or 50, that we are uncertain of the situation. That to me is a different situation. We don't know that they actually have been offered the due process that my esteemed colleague here mentioned. So yes, they may at some point in the future receive that hearing, probably, hopefully, but we can't guarantee it, and we don't know that they necessarily have yet. And so that was sort of where I started my initial question was, I understand we have is it two separate agreements that we have with the federal government, or is it one agreement that we take whoever shows up at our door?
We have an agreement with the United States Marshal Service.
Right.
We have an agreement with Immigration Customs Enforcement.
Okay.
We also have an agreement with the Bureau of Prison.
Okay.
So we actually have three. Yeah, three.
If any one of those three was terminated, right? If we said we'll continue to take federal marshal prisoners, but we are going to stop working with ICE, and it's not because I don't think that you're treating them very well, or as best as you can. I respect that and don't want to dispute that at all. But if we say as a community that is not something we want to participate in, there's the ethical, moral, active there, and then there's the financial aspect of it, which is what we're trying to deal with here.
Yes.
Financially, it sounds like from your prior answer, if that 140-ish people left the population, which is roughly the numbers we're dealing with on a nightly basis now, it sounds like that would not change the number of housing units or pods that remain staffed. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct, because of the complexities of my classification process.
Okay, so no matter what we're going to pay them, we have the expenses of monitoring those beds, whether they have beds in them or not.
Yes, sir. That's what I was trying to.
Okay, I think you got there. I just wanted to.
Okay, all right.
Representative Howell.
I'm just gonna sum up because there's people. So in other words, this is always my fear. I spent a lot of time working in the school system. It doesn't break clean, unfortunately. As you change the number, it doesn't change the staffing necessarily because you hit minimums. And so from a budgetary standpoint, it's likely that our costs will remain the same, but our revenue will go down, and we can't exactly pinpoint what that is at this point. Is that a fair assessment?
I believe that that's a fair assessment.
No, I can tell you how much we attribute to ICE and how much we attribute to the marshals. In terms of the finance piece, I mean, I put that budget together, so I can tell you that ICE is attributable to about $9 million. And approximately, and the marshals are approximately $3.5 million. Anywhere from 8 to 9, and it varies. I mean, sometimes we'll have more marshal inmates and less ICE inmates, and sometimes we'll have the opposite. So I can tell you that worst case scenario, it would be a loss of about $9 million in revenue, which is about 20% in taxes.
Before I recognize Representative Schmidt, you said there are 3 ICE, US Marshal, and Bureau of Prison. So just for completeness of my notes,
Yes,
what about you said 9 million for ICE, US Marshals 3.5 million, so Bureau of Prisons
Is relatively insignificant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Thank
those are just violators that are in a halfway house or something, and they violate their rules of quasi release.
Thank you.
And we take them in.
Thank you. Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, this is something, I don't know whether any of you are here in the category I'm about to address, but I would be astonished if there's nobody here. And I have already heard from a number of people, who have contacted me directly, but I've also received communications from people indicating that they have mailed or contacted other members of the delegation in Dover or Strafford County in general, expressing great concern about something that we're all reading about in the paper or encountering in the media somehow, and that's people who are being grabbed because of the color of their skin or some God knows what the criterion is that prompts an ICE officer to grab somebody off the street, take them out of a car, pull them out of a house or whatever. And people who are in all probability, in some cases we know, have no charges against them and probably will have no charges against them because in some cases they are American citizens and we know there are a number of those people. And I don't know whether we have any of them in Strafford County, but this is a matter of great concern to people who have contacted us. And you can multiply the number of people we've heard from by whatever factor you want to indicate how many people are concerned, but either are intimidated or don't have the time, whatever, they have not reached out to. It's just like the Congress people, if they get one phone call, they multiply that to some factor indicating what the public attitude is. So this is something that is going to be before the delegation as a factor in terms of how we proceed along the lines of what Representative Miller has already addressed. So to the degree that you have not already responded to my concern in your response to Representative Miller, here's your opportunity to tell me what you think that factor is, because the public is very concerned. To some degree, they are misinformed or disinformed, but in many cases, they are just very concerned and they frankly don't know what the facts are because they're not being reported.
Well, I mean, I think the sheriff should tell her piece because what you'd hear is we don't do any of those things. We don't go out and arrest anybody. We don't even transport ICE any longer.
What about people from Maine? I know
We have held them though.
In the past. Oh, yeah. I said anymore. I mean, we'll.
Can you I'm sorry, Ray, I'm gonna challenge you on this again. Can you confidently say that the 50 that we don't have the right documentation on, we know that they aren't in one of those classifications?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about transporting.
Oh, just transport.
I was talking about transporting.
Okay.
I'm not talking.
I wasn't, I gave up on that. We're gonna agree to disagree. I was talking about transporting, but I'll let the sheriff speak to that. We don't transport ICE. We've never arrested ICE. We've never.
I'm not talking about our people arresting. I'm talking about people we get. And the great concern is that ICE seems to be detaining people who are almost certainly in some cases absolutely innocent, or they're American citizens who are not should not be in that category. So what can you tell us about that? Because that's what our people want to hear.
I think it's very important for you to know that I don't make that decision. Like, I don't make the decision of who has allegedly committed a crime and who has not committed a crime. And you don't want me to make that decision. I'm tasked with a specific role, which is to ensure that if somebody is brought into my custody, that I allow them to participate in the criminal process or that they have their case adjudicated in a manner that is fair and equitable. And so we do everything that we can inside the correctional facility across the street to make sure that that happens. I don't generally engage in looking at people's paperwork to find out what their crime is or what the merits of their detention is. And the reason why I do that is because it really should be irrelevant to me in my position. It should be irrelevant because I don't make those decisions. And as soon as you start having somebody make those decisions that doesn't have the responsibility to do so, that's when you start to see a collapse in the criminal justice system. I have a very specific role. I read I read the paperwork that is provided to us to determine whether or not there's a reason why they should be incarcerated. If there's a reason that should be incarcerated, then they remain in my custody until such time as I get release paperwork for them to be released. Just the other day, there was an individual who was ordered to be released on Friday night. And it was exceptionally challenging. And I spent about an hour and a half on the phone arranging for the individual to be released because that's what the judge had ordered. I didn't, if the judge actually said within their order, well, I ordered the person to be released today. If the superintendent wishes to release them tomorrow when it's more convenient, that'll be a decision for the superintendent that they get to make, which was basically the judge saying, you want to try me? And I didn't, because I didn't make the decision to detain the individual, nor did I make the decision to release them. And so I got on the phone and I arranged for the individual to be released and transported out of our facility.
And Chair, it's just a question. If we
Go ahead.
want to debate this
Yeah.
issue, let's do it after 5 o'clock.
No.
Because I'm not gonna be here if this is gonna continue, because this has got nothing to do with the budget. I think what we've established already is that even if they didn't take the ICE prisoners in, that the budget would not go down as far as costs, but revenues would. That's, I think, the thing we're talking about today. Now, these other issues, we can certainly bring up some other time, but we're not here to decide on whether the jail will take ICE prisoners or not. We're here to decide if the budgets are okay. And we're never gonna get through the rest of these if we keep debating this issue.
Thank
I don't
you.
think we are debating the issue. I take your point, Representative, and I don't wanna get into a debate on this issue. I totally agree with you. But what I'm telling you is that we are hearing from our constituents, and some of these issues need to be brought to our.
This is not the forum to do that, that's all.
Well, but I think it is a forum to at least raise the issue.
Representative Howland, you're recognized.
So I just, to sum it up, I think, and I think it's a well taken point that we have addressed exactly how if our portion is the expenses part of the budget in this committee. I think a question has been raised about the revenue section, which can go in the revenue subcommittee, which I will bring up since I'm probably going to be subbing there. And we can continue this conversation, but in fact, what I'm hearing from the superintendent is you can't selectively pick who you're sent. You're sent who you're sent. And you can't really read through their card and say, okay, I'm gonna take you, I'm not gonna take you. That's not how the system works. Is that a pretty fair?
It's not the contract that we.
But not only that, that's not how if Dover brings a lady or gentleman to the facility to be incarcerated, we don't have any authority to say, no, Dover, we don't want that person.
Right.
You know, we take the person, based on the fact that.
We can change the contract,
No,
that's a
we're-
different debate, and I completely understand it's a different debate.
I was just trying to answer the
I
question.
know,
Yeah.
we're okay with that for sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And so as Representative Holland indicated, this type of discussion will probably also be addressed in the revenue side. And when is the revenue subcommittee meeting? The 6th at 1 o'clock.
Right, that is out.
And for those in the Zoom land, it's February 6th at 1 o'clock. That's the revenue side. Thank you. And so Superintendent, you can continue with the rest of your presentation.
That's largely my explanations of the Department of Corrections. I do have 2 other items that I'd like to talk to you about. I strongly believe that they're not items that are gonna create much heartburn. The next that I'd like to talk about is HOC laundry. You'll see it's the same exact thing. It's a $42,500 expense, and that's because we have to do laundry over at the facility. We do laundry for the inmates, but we also do laundry, and we have contracts for Riverside Rest Home, Hyder Hospice, among others.
Sometimes Wentworth Douglas.
Sometimes Wentworth Douglas, but largely that's
Yeah, if they're busy, then we take the overflow from Wentworth Douglas, which happens episodically.
correct.
Yeah, we don't know when it's getting, certainly during COVID, it was regular. I'm not sure what it's like, because Riverside Restaurant doesn't have any flu or any COVID. I'm saying that as a brag.
Yeah.
That's a brag on my part. I know, I'll probably suffer for that, but we've avoided that this whole season so far, which is astounding to me. And a tribute to my staff. In any case, yeah, we do laundry for anybody that wants, that will pay us for doing the laundry.
The last item that I'd like to talk to you about is the jail industries program. For anyone that don't know, the jail industries program is an inmate work program where individuals can do work that we do inside the correctional facility. They get paid a wage to do the work. The work is all vetted by employment security to ensure that it doesn't displace workers in the United States, meaning it gets investigated to ensure that if it wasn't done inside the Department of Corrections, it would most likely be done overseas somewhere. There's a $14,000 increase on that, but that $14,000 increase is largely related to the anticipation of the expansion of work that we're doing over there. If anybody's ever purchased a gift set from Stonewall Kitchen with a couple of holiday jams and perhaps maybe some biscuits or something, most likely that was put together inside the Department of Corrections across the street.
Wow. Yeah, we do almost all the stuff for Stonewall Kitchen. Assemble, especially, actually all time of year stuff.
We also do silk screening and embroidery. We also do some soldering, although we've kind of veered away from that. And so what it does is it allows an individual that is of good behavior to work, earn a wage. They can use it to make phone calls or video visits. They can use the money to purchase commissary. They also create a savings account so that while they're incarcerated in there, they have money to take when they're discharged from our facility. And it also gives them a skill set. We have had our jail industries director make recommendations to local areas that have silk screening processes, that have manufacturing, that work in laundry.
General linen.
Yep. We have all placed people to work in places like that because of a skill set that they develop working with industrial machines at the correctional facility.
And that program actually breaks even or makes a small sum of money for the county besides paying out to the ladies and gentlemen who participate in the program.
Representative Miller, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's on page 18 of the smaller handout, the jail industry program budget, there is a slight increase in the overtime. I am assuming that is guards that are in the space, or is that the workers actually making overtime?
So it's not the workers that are making overtime. What it is it's to cover when my jail industries employees go on vacation.
Okay.
So that's what that coverage is.
And the jail employees are correctional officers, but also have some training in the area of manufacturing, and so that they can help teach the useful skill.
So it's the team. It's the professional team that oversees the operations.
That's correct, sir.
Got it. Thank you.
That's the lion's share of my presentation.
Can I ask one more question about
Absolutely.
that? Sure. Is there an opportunity to expand that program that is being hamstrung by lack of funds, or are we in a good spot there?
We're in a good spot, and it's kind of measured growth. I suspect that we could go out and find additional work that we could get vetted through employment security to make sure that, but we also have to make sure that we have the right makeup of individuals up there that can cohesively work together. And like most working environments, that can be an exceptional challenge to find people who work together for a common goal.
Yeah.
I will say that it is a nice feather in your cap to be able to work over there in that program. You make a decent wage. You have a relatively quiet living environment because we try to keep all the workers together. We also, because I brought it up, we have a separate working environment that we allow for people with alleged crime against kids or something like that, where they can work as well. Because I saw the writing on the wall where they were saying, why don't we get work opportunities? And I think that I would have some pretty strong standing to say, because we're trying to keep you as safe as we can while you're incarcerated. But we've created an environment where we can utilize we can utilize them to earn a wage as well. Because we want to make it fair and equitable for everybody that's incarcerated.
One question. Yeah, speaking on the overtime, what's changing from 2025 to 2026? So you have, way over on overtime spent. It's already
We had a-
48,000 through
Didn't
the
we
end
have
of September.
Didn't we have a pregnancy leave?
We had a pregnancy for one. We've also tried a new staffing model over there where they work staggered days and longer days that they've agreed upon that don't
So
create
to make it
overtime.
short, then you don't expect that same issue because you're
That's
showing over $30,000
That-
budget.
that's correct.
That doesn't include the fourth quarter.
In addition to that, we had two separate staff members at different times have medical issues that required them to be absent from work.
And it's not like we can just sub somebody in there because they have a,
I understand, right? yeah.
they've acquired,
skill.
extra skills to be there.
Any other questions from the subcommittee? Seeing none? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the questions. I truly do. I'm not ignorant to the concerns that perhaps people in this room have. I'm just trying to do it the best way that I can and in a manner that is in conjunction with what I've experienced over my more than 20-year career here at the facility.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you feel better.
Get well.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Well, he's kind of hung in there. Cause he's not feeling well, so.
So next up is the county attorney's office.
Emily,
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, I was hiding back there. Okay, so our budget this year is actually, pretty consistent with last year's. We're not asking for really any increases in any of the line items. The only increase is for the county attorney's salary, which was not something that I requested, but was set by the delegation before even the period to run for election started. So that's not something that I asked for.
it's done in the term before you take off.
Correct, so that would have been done in 2020.
Which is consistent with state law.
Yeah,
State law
correct.
says that
It is, that's
salary must be set prior to running for election.
why we do it that way.
Thank you for that, but not my request anyway.
So there was I can just speak to that because I was on the the salaries subcommittee somewhat. And so there was a mechanism where we thought that the salary was below that of its peers. And so there was a mechanism to move up the county attorney salary to make it so it's competitive with other county attorneys.
So anyways, if there's any questions, like I said, it's pretty on par with last year's. I'm also here for the CAC budget as the director of that is a week conference, but I technically oversee her. Her budget is the same as well. There is a small increase.
Sorry, which one are we on now?
Sorry, I shouldn't have switched. I'll take questions on the county attorney budget first.
Questions?
Because
Okay.
we asked for each presentation to address increases or decreases that's over $10,000.
It's not really in there.
Come on.
It's not any, that's my responsibility. Okay, so then the Child Advocacy Center is the next one. I think that's just right on the next page. So that budget again is staying the same. There was a small increase in the dues that are owed to the National Children's Alliance, which manages our accreditation.
Could I just speak on that for a second? By being part of that, it enables us to get a grant. And the grant's much more than the dues. So it's well worth it for us to, once we got certified, which was, can't remember how many years ago, but a number of years ago. Once we got certified, it was well worth it for us to maintain that certification because we got more grant money than we paid to be certified.
And like, for example, one of our employees is almost all grant funded, so.
Revenue.
questions from other.
Makes sense.
As the.
Usual to have. About. Done. Other than that, there. Due to.
Thing that jumps out at me is the down substantially, and so yeah, overtime.
Answer to that.
Primarily assigned
You saw the reaction of the speech.
But when the last guest jumped off, is when we lost it. Here we go. Hang on 1 second. Yeah.
They went to sleep.
No, that one's still on, I think, though. Like-
Yeah, but
like
it's
it's
not
doing-
connected to his
Oh,
laptop.
Oh, that's right. There's a computer gentleman, so.
Computer gentleman is the nicest way that's ever been described about me.
Sure.
You can take that tray and offer it to the guests.
Oh. Let me bring it around.
Maybe that's 40 years. Figure out how to do something.
Anybody like that?
We bake them fresh.
Oh, they're really good.
I
No?
have a few more, Mr. Harrington, a few more clarification. I'll wait, I guess, till it's, but I wanna
Oh,
speak to
good.
the.
If not, bring it home.
Did they make that at the jail?
No, we make that here. It's downstairs in the kitchen, in the cafeteria.
Better than the average. If I was one to start, I would.
They'll make them, I would make them real happy for me to tell them that. Yeah.
There it goes. This thing chirped, so that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, looks like we're trying on the video, should be on. Thanks. I hate when it does that, oh, there we go. Back in business.
Okay, let's resume. Sarah.
Yes, I was going to, we've been addressing, your question regarding the decrease in the deputy line, and, there's a part of the explanation is provided by Administrator Bauer, but, do you happen to have in front the, organizational chart? Was that something?
I don't think it was
No.
part of it. I don't think it was.
Okay,
It's in this packet.
so
If I included it, then I'm.
Be in your backup packet, yeah.
So it's simple though, so if you don't have it, that's, so there are, I had two captains on here. So, one of the captains, I was promoted to chief deputy, which is on a separate line, so his.
Oh, okay,
would've-
so it's shifted over.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then I actually, there'll be a little bit more movement, so that would be a good amount of it. And then also, so I've had a few retirements that were at a higher rate, so there's quite a few things that.
There's quite a few moving parts.
Yeah,
to get
okay,
to the
in
bottom
terms of
line.
Retirement.
But you know, we zero base all our budgets, so if we come in with somebody at a lesser, a pay scale because they're a newer employee. And somebody's retired, they're obviously gonna come in at a lesser pay scale.
Right.
Yes, and
So that happens. It also, by the way, in terms of the union shops, which is the sheriff's department and the jail and the nursing home, it could happen the other way. I mean, you could have somebody that is a nurse's aide in step 7.
It moves up.
And now they're in housekeeping because, you know, they wouldn't be making as much as they were making as nurse's aide, but they retain their staff. You know, because they can no longer do that physical work. So, you know, it happens in both ways, but most of the time it's retirement and replacement.
And to answer, I'm not planning on promoting anyone to that captain's position, so keeping
So this is just stay
lieutenant
quiet
as
then.
my highest rank, yes.
Thank
There
you.
used to be a major position, yeah.
Yes, so mine, yeah, so I have
Now you have
the 3 lieutenants and,
That's when you really didn't have a sheriff at the time. You know, this is before the sheriff was elected.
Representative Howard.
Do we really have a bloodhound? Is it like,
Oh,
I mean,
thanks for asking. So we do not currently have a bloodhound. We have a comfort dog right now. The bloodhound tradition at the Strafford County Sheriff's Office goes back many, many years. My father raised some of the bloodhounds back in the early 80s. So
the bloodhound unit line is for the dog. And with the hopes of maybe having a bloodhound at some point. I think they're absolutely wonderful for finding lost people and really helping. So that's why they haven't changed the line. I mean, I guess you could decide to change it to
And the other thing is,
canine, but
when we use, it helps us to compensate when we use dogs from other departments. Instead of our own being the primary dog, it helps us pay out to other departments when, the dog is used regionally instead of specific to their particular
Which they have
city.
done in a couple of times.
We do it all the time. As much as Justin will shrink here, the dog is also partially replaced by the drone.
Right.
By the heat-seeking drone, which has been a real asset.
Lifesaver.
It's been a real asset. That life-saving drone is, I know there was a lot of debate a whole number of years ago before we got the drone, but I'll tell you, the fact that it's heat-seeking, I've seen it operate and it's unbelievable.
And what line item does the drone go to?
It comes out of dispatch, so you'll hear a little bit about that. But the biggest expense of the drone is the original purchase, which was done a few years ago.
and along the lines of the dogs and the drones, what we see as our mission at the sheriff's office is to have these resources that all of the towns can use. So we include investigations is what we do a lot of for the other towns, or all of the towns and the cities, and the drones are a great part of that.
Other questions from the subcommittee?
That was my question.
Seeing none? Are there other parts to your presentation or was?
Justin is going to do the dispatch portion, and I'll be here for questions on that too.
Justin?
Sorry, no question.
So looking at the dispatch budget for 26, the big differences you'll see is decrease in overtime. That's gone from 109,000 last year to 90,000 this next year. And fees and outside services where you'll see another increase over $10,000. And a lot of that is due to our licensing and fees we pay to outside vendors.
If you remember, we went through that large radio system upgrade. And some of that locks us into a more enhanced antenna system in other parts of the county. Primarily, I'm sorry, I can never remember the name of that mountain.
Chesley's our tallest one.
And what's the other one? What's the one with the lady that I went up and saw that was
Mount Tenerife.
Mount Tenerife, and as an example. It used to be a relatively small antenna, and then the change in Mount, we're smiling because the owner of the property wasn't necessarily happy. We had to kind of redo the surface, and Justin and I think took the brunt of it. But we got that all fixed up, and she's all very happy with it.
But it did give us a lot more coverage for the local
The
police.
coverage
That was something
is
that really needed to be done. I mean, that was critical.
We went from about 30% portable coverage to 95% now.
wow. And you'll never get, I mean, even when I was in Londonderry all those years back, even just in that one town, we couldn't get 100% coverage. In our own town, and our whole radio system was right in the center of town, and we couldn't get 100% coverage.
So the notable changes in our budget next year, where a lot of you are newer folks to the subcommittee, I wanted to just highlight some of the things we do in the dispatch center. It's the dispatch center budget, but under that, we also provide emergency management services at the county level. And drone unit is under this budget as well. Some of the support work we do as part of the dispatch center is IT for the sheriff's office, following a very strict set of security guidelines. And then you'll see my partner Kelly doing a lot of the IT support for your guys' meetings. That's also under our umbrella. So a little bit more about what we do behind the scenes that isn't really seen much.
Plus, we acquired that $725,000. Is that pretty good, huh? $725,000 grant that we got.
For the radio system.
Right, so once we did the antenna system, we got a $725,000 grant to equip all of the cities and towns to meet their needs. So that, they would work well with the system. The other thing that happened too, when we did the radio system, is when we did the roof here at the courthouse, we removed the antennas from the roof, and either driving floor or back, you'll see the large antenna off the back corner. The advantage to that is one of the several reasons why we needed the radio system enhancement was because the trees are growing. And the fact that we took the antennas off the roof and put it on its own antenna, I don't know, my best guesstimate is it'll add another 10 years to the system beyond the years that we added when we put the new system in. Simply because it's that much taller, and it'll be that much taller before the trees outgrow it again. So it's gonna be quite some time. The current system that was put in was actually, I wish I would have thought of it. Justin it was brilliant of him to put up that antenna. And it was especially because we had to do it anyway. I mean, when we took it off the roof, rather than put it back on, we just built it out. And it just added 10 years to our radio system. So that was really, he got the carver's initial and then the cement. So we had the commissioners call him up and make him wipe it off as a joke. And poor Justin, so nervous, he thought he had to go out and wipe it off. We were honestly just kidding.
Are there any questions from the members?
Straightforward on this one.
Seeing none, thank you very much. And thank you very much, Sheriff. Thank you very much to the Director of Dispatch Center. And now the next up, Community Corrections Program, Drug Court and Transitional Housing Program.
So we've had a change here. I'm only gonna talk for a minute.
Oh, yeah, sure, right.
No, I'm the director now of Community Corrections. When we had a couple of people retire or leave, rather than replace them, I went back to my roots. And these people taught me how much they've brought this program from when I first started it almost 40 years ago. And I also have asked them to talk about how we will avoid the tragedy that occurred up in Coas County in a domestic violence situation up there. How we've equipped our program to avoid that type of thing. So you guys take it off, I'm done.
Well, Will and I are both kind of co-directors for the community corrections programs, the pre and post trial programs. My caseload, my case managers all work with the population that has mental health disorders. So they have education, training, all those things to work with that specific population. And Will and his team works with the rest of the population. And so we've been working together since our coordinator left to try and kind of revamp some of the things about our program. In looking at our budget, we were able to make some cuts. The biggest ones perhaps you'll see is the staffing, which, Ray mentioned that we had some people leave. We had a couple of positions open up and we hired entry-level case managers. So obviously their rate of pay is going to be a little bit lower. And all the things that come along with that, their longevity, their benefits, all of those were reduced because of that. The next item is the overtime line. In May of last year, we came up with a new overtime policy to help our officers when they have to stay late and do work at the jail. When we get late court orders, they have to go over and release people on GPS ankle bracelets. That new overtime policy kicked in May of last year. And so we had to add an increase to our budget for this year to cover that. The biggest increase you'll see, which I'll let Will talk more about, is the increase to our equipment. The fees and outside services. We had a major increase in the cost of our equipment, which.
This is the most exciting thing.
You said you were done, Ray. Come on.
This is the most exciting thing you're gonna
Never
hear
done.
all
I know, but I'm gonna keep
afternoon.
picking on it.
Go ahead.
So with our monitoring company who is, we get our GPSs from, our alcohol monitors from. We have a pretty consistent what we pay each month for that. However, there's been some changes with bill reform and stuff like, things like that. So, our numbers have gone up with how many people are on our program that have ankle monitors on or have alcohol monitors. So just quickly, since, January 2025 till January 2026, it's gone up 20 people. So as an average per month.
Could that?
So instead of 60 people we had last January, we actually have 85. It's actually 25.
And that would be considered good because that's 25 people, otherwise would be in
There you
jail.
go. Exactly.
It could be, or those 25 people might have been released anyway without the extra security of the ankle monitor. And in fact, these two people have a solution to discuss that with the court.
Right.
We're gonna hold a brown bag lunch and just, remind judges sometimes move around. And we want to remind them of what we can do without an ankle bracelet, so that somebody doesn't need to have that. And we might be able to do it in a different way. But we also have another big thing.
Right. So I just want to, the reason I'm explaining that is because our numbers in equipment there has gone up. So that's why we need more in the budget to pay for that. And the big thing that Ray was hinting on, that Blair and I kind of put our heads together and we got with our monitoring company. And right now, when somebody's out on GPS and it's a DV case, we have it's what it's called exclusion zones around their residence and their place of business. So when the ankle bracelet goes in within those zones, we get alerted, we call the local police department, and the local police department takes care of that situation. So to go to the next level, we got with our monitoring company, and they actually have a victim's app where the victim would get notified in real time.
Wow.
So on their cell phone, once that GPS goes within that exclusion zone, we get notified immediately. We call the police department, they respond. Right now, the victim is gonna get notified at the exact same time because of this new equipment that we've already demoed and that we're gonna hopefully start seeing.
Time to lock doors. get,
Exactly.
Or
On a
Yeah.
safe spot.
Completely,
Another good thing about it is this is a small world we live in. This person could be at Walmart and then she could have her phone on me and she could get alert that the person involved in this case is in Walmart. And that they should probably, obviously leave the area. So it's called, it's just basically wherever they go, and if that's in a certain radius, they'll get alerted.
It's a buffer
A
zone.
buffer zone, so it doesn't matter, it could be any place in the world, if they're in that certain buffer zone, they'll get alerted.
so in the past, outside of the exclusion zone, there'd be no notification at all, and they could just bump into each other in Walmart.
Exactly.
And what happened,
Sounds good.
this program is being used, when the Attorney General issues its report on the Coas County death. This program is gonna be the one featured as the program to do in New Hampshire. And for those of you who don't know, what happened was unfortunately a domestic violence case up in Coas. The gentleman was released on cash bail, went out to the restaurant or where his significant other worked and unfortunately ended her life. In this case, the person will have a notification that the person's released. And is in the separation area. So we're, I'm just really proud of these people for putting this together.
So if that's ever happened, we would get notified, we call the local police department, the victim would be notified, so they could take shelter wherever in their place of business or their home. So it's just an added security for the person involved in this case. So that's why, and this costs more money, so that's why our budget is we're asking for more.
What we can tell you too is that we did some numbers about the types of charges that we get from the court. From September, when the new legislation went into play, Until January, about 30% of our total charges were domestic violence related. In the month of January this year alone, 43% are domestic violence related. So the number of DV cases itself are going up.
So the cold
The courts-
weather driving it
I
up.
don't know, but I mean, because of that, the courts rightfully so are ordering a lot more equipment too, so that's why our numbers have gone up significantly.
So you could, but the total number that they're supervising are close to 600 people. You know, in the community, between all of the programs, it's 600 people.
If I may,
You gonna talk about employability too?
Sure, I can.
if I ever shuts up. I know,
This is my thing.
I know, it's amazing.
You know, this is my master's degree is in this and I run a nursing home, but you know, make all that.
Representative Miller, you're recognized.
Thank you. Just to make sure I understand, that line item, the 229 line item for the feeds and outside services, obviously goes up. You said it's more expensive per unit to run this because of the additional service associated with it, which has spectacular value. So I understand that. Is there a separate line item for the actual physical hardware that gets purchased, or is it like a lease thing where
Lease it.
so that's all bundled as a service?
That's correct.
So there's no CapEx on it. Cool. Thank you.
Did anybody else have any questions about the Victims app or GPS units or equipment?
Anything about employability that seems interesting to you?
Employability is a program that I oversee. Is basically we supervise men and women in the community and try to help them find employment. So the whole goal is to have them find employment where they can start working, where their wages can be garnished, and it goes directly to the mom or the dad in this case.
Yeah.
So I have people that report to me weekly. They turn in job searches. I give them places to go to apply, and going through staff agencies and different and unemployment office, and then fairly quickly they usually find employment. And I update DHS and their wages get garnished and they make payments to our office as well. We have a lot of people that work under the table, like construction or something like that, where they make their payments right to our office. So I've been doing it for probably 8 years now. And I think last year we made the most, we took in the most we ever have, and it's getting close to, I think, almost $1 million.
It started as the court putting ladies or gentlemen who hadn't made their payments in jail.
Which accomplishes
I'm not sure how that accomplishes anything.
Dead is prison.
And when I saw that, it happened to one of my employees whose significant other lost his job, and this was during the more difficult times. So we created this program. Jamie Dunn was there at the time, and I said to Jamie, "Hey, fix this. You know, create something here that we can keep people out of jail for wasted time. And secondarily, we can help get money for the people in the community that need to be supported." So the fact that we're up almost $1 million is $1 million that a lot of which, I wouldn't say everything, but a lot of which wouldn't be otherwise collected.
And that made that money in taxes through welfare, a lot of it.
That's exactly correct, sir.
And that money, I mean, you said we've collected, but that's a straight pass through, right? Back to whomever it was supposed to go to.
Correct. We don't touch it. We don't
That's
make any.
that's not including people that are working on the books that are just being garnished.
Okay.
That's just in our office.
And cool. Let's assume it's all on the books at some level. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah. For the sake of this conversation.
Sure.
Other questions from the members? Any other comments you want to make?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, any questions?
So my name is Carol Lee. I'm the director for report. This will probably be pretty brief because our program is funded by the state. So as you can see, I'm not asking for anything outside of what the state really holds me to and what funding is. So if you're familiar with the program, it's basically we're addressing substance use to avoid reoffending. You know, we have high risk, high need individuals. And the idea is to prevent them from going back into jail or prison. But the idea is that they don't do that and it saves taxpayers money. And I think that's the underlying, you know, that's what everyone wants to hear. So, but again, our fiscal year with the state runs from July 1 to June 30th. So that's basically, I just have to report quarterly all those expenses that are listed there, our salaries and our benefits, so.
I got a question. So again, it ends June 30th, 2026. It's like, so would that be the next fiscal, the grant for the next fiscal budget would come from the state to you? Is that how it works?
So it has been for the last several years, and you'll see it on the revenue page. That it's drug court revenue. There is a few things that it doesn't pay for because our drug court machine runs drug tests outside of the drug court. We run drug tests too for our community programs. And we're not gonna cheat the state, or at least not so we could get caught. No, I'm just kidding. We wouldn't do that.
This is televised, and hopefully no one's watching this.
We do get, there is some drug tests that we exclude from reimbursement. So you'll see the exact amount doesn't exactly match.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a while.
Forever, sir, because, the drug machines are expensive and, you're not gonna buy a second one, for sure.
Representative Schmidt, you're right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we used to get notified when the graduation ceremonies were held.
Yes,
And that, I haven't been notified for a while, at least I'm not aware of having been notified. That's kind of a big deal, and
What we'll do is we'll send it to Janet, and Janet will send it to the whole delegation.
that would be good because it really, it's something you will be astonished by, you'll be gratified by, and it will mean something to the graduates as well. I can tell you that for sure.
We'll take
From
care of
having been there.
We'll take care of that for you.
Thank you.
I can tell you, we just scheduled one for March 17th, so you're more than welcome to come.
We'll send you a reminder notice.
Thank you, everybody. Because is this problem getting a program, not problem, program getting adopted more widely because it's a wonderful idea. Is it fairly widely accepted here in New Hampshire?
I believe so, yeah, every county I think has one.
Every county?
Now, yeah.
But I think if you look at the numbers, we seem to, it's a cooperative effort. It's not just running a drug court. You have to have a prosecutor that's interested. You have to have public defenders that are interested. You have to have private attorneys that are interested, and you have to have a judge to run it. So, it's not as simple as, start a drug court. There's a lot of legwork, because we were the first adult drug court in New Hampshire. There's a lot of legwork in the drug court, to get it to the level that it's at.
And you have to have all those ingredients. It's kind of like a table leg, take it out, the table falls on the floor.
If one of those legs doesn't work.
Right, it doesn't happen.
It's gone.
And we're very fortunate in Strafford that we have everyone on the team is on board. They're always participating in meetings, so I think Strafford's ahead of the game in that sense. So that's why it's been so successful. We average around 60 participants at a time, which is a lot for our population in our county, so.
No, it's a win-win situation. Thank you.
Any more questions from the members? Seeing none, thank you very much.
You're on.
Hi, Taylor Belanger, Director of Transitional Housing. My items are pretty much the same as last year, except for a couple of areas. Supplies is the big one, the increase in the equipment. The supplies is mostly due, so during the pandemic, we limited our houses to half capacity, just to help prevent the spread of COVID. And only last year did it ever get reestablished to our 100% maximum, which is 20 men and 8 women. So our supplies we have more of a need of supplies for paper towel, toilet paper.
I got a question. What is your housing? Where are these people, the 8 and 20, where are they going?
So we have a transitional facility right next to Housing Corrections. It's like a 3-story building, 2-story,
Right.
one's basement. The basement is where women's house is, and the upstairs is where the men's house is.
It used to be like an alcohol something? Is that?
No, the drug and alcohol is still there, which is actually run now by community partners.
Okay.
Community partners took over. They're rooms that have always been there.
Okay.
We've just adapted them to the particular transitional housing.
Okay.
They were kind of rooms we had, so we pulled it together.
Yeah, exactly. So we have 4 rooms, 3 4-man rooms and 1 8-man room. And then the women's house, we have 2 4-person rooms.
I mean, the reason I bring this up is because there's been discussions about transitional housing, homeless and all that, what the counties is. And I don't think most of the delegation actually knows that we actually have transitional
Yeah, and
housing already.
you know, this transitional housing is a little different in the sense that these are people that are
From the jail.
participated in our criminal justice
Yeah.
programs. And our situation would be, when they're done serving their time, is to open the door and say, see ya.
Bye.
And what happens with that is, the only thing they know is what put them in jail the first time. And I know I'm speaking in generalities, there's exceptions, but, you know, this way we can kind of give them guidance, help them get some, you know, make sure they get some good work to do, and kind of keep an eye on them. You know, we supervise them primarily overnight, so that we can, you know, make sure that we don't get them back in jail. It's our goal.
No, I mean, I think my thought was that it's important for the delegation to know that transitional housing is part of our other services and how it fits together. And I think also to that point, how long-term that actually does save us money because they don't end up back in jail.
Great. Yeah, I mean, generally, we're a complement to the other programs on community supervision, with offering housing. Like, for example, with drug court, many of the clients who are especially in phase one, they're going to constant appointments, IOPs, meetings, groups, etc. So it's also nice that they can live in this very cheap, it's $50 a week after 30 days. They mostly can be done through community service. It offers them a place to stay that's on county property, so they're near all their obligations, and they don't have to worry about, you know, getting a job and then having that job interfere with their other obligations. And so we work as a complement in that way to pretty much all the programs.
And the nice part is, of course, you know, we have bus service here to the county. You know, the county funds an extension bus route out here, so that, because it's the only way to get here.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have a vehicle, which none of these ladies and gentlemen will. It's the only way to get.
Representative Harrington.
Just a curiosity, on the line there, the general supplies, but the 239, it says yearly large supply orders placed in the fourth quarter. Yet I look and you've only got $10 left after September 30th. So is that I don't.
Should have said third quarter.
Should have said third quarter. Okay, that makes that easy. That's all I had.
Any other questions from the members? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
I think that is the end of the presentation.
We do medical examiner.
Yeah, that's the only one I was the medical examiner.
Medical.
Yeah, you guys do it.
Yeah.
Just tell me how many people are gonna die and then we'll tell you. The way the law reads right now is, any unattended death, the county attorney reaches out to the medical examiner's office, describes the circumstances of the death, and they decide whether to come out or do an autopsy. They can do one of three things. They can do it over the phone. They can come out and examine the scene. Or the third thing is, usually after they examine the scene, they can order an autopsy that's performed by the state medical examiner. We are obligated to pay for each one of those things based on an old statute that's existed. You know, I can never tell how much it's gonna be. Last year was a little bit less, some years it's a little bit more. When we had a lot of overdoses, at the beginning, it was way up. Now more of the overdoses are looked at in a kind of a preponderance of circumstance, as opposed to a specific lab and autopsy situation.
So you're talking about overdoses that result in death?
Yes, sir. That's all that line item.
Just death.
So just good.
And of course,
It's all that.
naloxone or some, whatever it is now.
Narcan.
Yeah,
Narcan, yeah,
same thing.
same thing. Is available over the counter, isn't it? Narcan?
Yeah, we carry it everywhere. Sheriff's Department,
Oh, yeah,
jail
no,
carries
no.
it. You know, everybody carries it because we have
Before
people
my
that come
committee.
in. You know, we have people that come in, and a lot of them say, oh shit, I'm gonna get arrested. oh darn, I'm gonna get arrested. And, you know, they take whatever drugs they happen to have on their person. And it doesn't really take effect till they get into jail and all of a sudden we see them, you know, seizing or passing out. So our officers are equipped with Narcan.
Questions from the members?
Nope.
On that from Sam? Okay. Thank you so much. So at this point, is there a motion to approve the recommendation, the budget recommendations as
Well, I
well?
think it should be by somebody who's actually on the committee, frankly, just, you know, well, because.
I have no argument with.
Seeing no objection, go ahead.
You've typically done it in the past.
I have no problem.
Okay,
Move to approve the budget as recommended.
second.
Like, moved by Representative Harrington, seconded by Representative Schmidt. Any discussion?
No, thank you.
No, this-
Excellent presentation.
Let me do the roll call. Representative Bay,
Yay.
yay. Representative Harrington.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt,
Aye.
Representative, Miller.
Affirmative. I gotta come up with a fifth different word now, come on.
I have nothing creative to add, but I'll say yes, motion passes 5-0.
Move to
Thank you
dismiss.
very much.
Oh,
In a second?
is that okay for somebody not on the committee to make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, no.
Second.
You don't even have to, you can say without objection.
Without
For
objection.
Objection, we're
Adjourning.
adjourned.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
representatives, and thank you for.